Hey guys, it's Jet 888 here. We have got lots of interesting spraying as the military helicopters fly away. So we've got all this spraying in the sky today as they continue to dim the sun. Forcefully medicating people as well, if you want to call it medicating. Metallizing maybe is probably more appropriate. Yeah, it's interesting because normally these sprays are going east to west, which is weird because normally it's north to south, and the sun's getting dim, so we have a little bit of a cooling effect. If they can't get people to join up with a war, which we're not presently in, that I know of, you're going to have them join up with the whole global environmental story. It's funny because the Silicon Valley is sly eco villain. So they're signing everyone up now to believe the whole climate agenda thing. Every time they want you to jump through some panic hoop of theirs, whether it's some scary disease being released all over the place or the environment that we're killing and murdering, you know that they've got an agenda because they've got to get the national point of view, or I don't even know how to say that, but they just need to get people all rallied up on the same, to fight the same demons, like Reagan said. And then you have most of the population who has zero idea of what's going on. They're clueless because they can still eat, I guess, even though their food bills are probably skyrocketing and their gas and their oil bills or whatever. Everything's skyrocketing, but nobody seems to notice. No one seems to notice that they're being poisoned and lied to. I mean, they just flew by less than 2 minutes ago, around 2 or 3 minutes ago. So how much does this cost the American people every time they make a trip? They're going from west to east, and I don't think anyone knows exactly what they're doing. Have any of you guys heard of Landsat? Landsat by NASA? Look at this picture that they have on their website. Remember when I was telling you about the as above, so below? And in Genesis, you can read as C sign, as S-I-G-N, but then sine as in sine wave, S-I-N-E. This is a sine wave. This is light. So we're talking frequencies. Frequencies are everything. I am the light, as above, so below. So this link, landsat.gsfc.nasa.gov, I was looking at this guy, Denis, and he just got my attention because he went to SDSU, which is where I went also. But they're talking about computer using Google Earth software or various other tools to study satellite images. And this says Helder has been working with the U.S. Geological Survey Center for EROS with EROS with NASA since 1988 on satellite image processing located near Sioux Falls, EROS. The acronym stands for Earth Resources Observation and Science. Yep, trust the science. Is home to the U.S. National Satellite Land Remote Sensing Data Archive. So it talks about using this data to give a better understanding of what's happening on our Earth from local to regional to a global perspective. It says satellite imagery is a wonderful tool for scientists and planners. I'll leave the link so you can read this, but it also says they work with spatial quality of the images. A satellite imaging system is a camera. Look at the anagram for American. It's in camera. So there's arrows, rose, soar. Remember that? A rose is a rose by any other name. Would it not smell as sweet or something like that? So basically, SDSU, San Diego State University's scientists are in on this, helping NASA and AROS Data Center basically spy on you. So, but as the lab's expertise and reputation has grown, it has been called upon for other jobs. I wonder what those could be. And of course, we have Google Earth here. For example, the Google Earth software uses a mix of Landsat images as well as higher resolution images produced by a private company called Digital Globe. I haven't looked at them, but maybe we should go look at them. So SDSU Lab contracted with NASA to help calibrate Digital Globe's satellite called QuickBird. And here's Denis Helder. And he's just one of many other scientists in here who are trying to talk you into how good this is. But I'll leave the link for this. 25 years of Landsat 5. Of course, you have to have the word 5 in there. 5. I've looked at that. Just my interpretation is 5, F-I-V-E on gematria is also the all-seeing eye. And of course, this this video is 3 minutes and 33 seconds long. So the first thing on the Jewish gematria list, when you look at 333, is Anastasia. You can break it down if you look at the anagram by A Satan, S-A-I, and S-A-I is stratospheric aerosol injection. And that goes into the whole geoengineering global warming thing that they act like it's not happening, but it is, because you can look and see all over the place people talking about it. All over the place. Regarding that document of the report from Iron Mountain, it says, for the triumph of globalism, a new ideology would be needed that would replace the limited success gained by threatening war. Thus, a new crisis creation think tank, the Club of Rome, was founded. Many of the functions of the Club of Rome would take on crisis creation, crisis management. Have we seen that lately? Were elaborated upon in detail in a document entitled The Report from Iron Mountain, which presented itself as a project from a high-level government special study group that met between 1963 and 1966. It hints that it was commissioned on behalf of the Hudson Institute, a spinoff of the Rand Corporation. The document discussed how war was historically an effective means of controlling populations, and given that globalization was internationalizing government, war might not continue to be a viable means of controlling populations, and so substitutes to war had to be found. Of course, in a world government, renegade groups would merely be violently assaulted for violating peace. According to the document, these substitutes had to expand the power of government. Have we been seeing that lately with the needle crafting? Be economically wasteful and be fueled by alleged threats that could only be averted by adherence to these controlling propositions. Right, everyone wear your mask, everyone run for the needle crafting. It discussed compulsory service for antisocial elements, blood games, and the creation of external threats to unify society, like an alien invasion. Remember what Reagan said? And of course, the threat of overwhelming environmental catastrophe requiring globalists, solutions to fix at your Hegelian dialectic. And of course, the people who write this kind of literature are subsidized by the people causing actual environmental damage. It's well worth reading, and I'll leave the link to this. But so here they're talking about from Iron Mountain. So I found this, Calhoun, and I'll also send you the link. Interesting little pedo spiral there. But when you look at the word Calhoun, it's got the word launch in it, like launch. But look at this. This was put out in June 2019, just 4 months before the event 201, and 2 or 3 months after that, you've got the whole CV-19 going on that changed everyone's lives. This is networked logistics, turning the Iron Mountain into an iron network. Iron, F-E, iron. And this is by Gregory E. Lynch. Isn't that interesting? Lynch, like hanging from a tree. So Naval Postgraduate School. There's this link there. I'll leave the link. And this is the MPS, Naval Postgraduate School in Montgomery, California. So this is a thesis. Networked logistics, turning the Iron Mountain into an iron network. You might want to read this. I'll just read part of this. It says in the abstract, the current Marine Corps logistics structure distributes resources from a central point commonly known as the Iron Mountain to combat units throughout the battle space. The Iron Mountain presents a substantial target for adversaries with precision-guided weapons or large-scale attack capabilities. This study explores the effects of replacing Iron Mountain with a distributed network of mobile logistics support nodes. This iron network creates a smaller, unpredictable target that is harder to locate while still providing logistics support to combat units. We create a simulation model. They love those, just like Event 201. We create a simulation model to explore the factors affecting the resupply capabilities of an iron network and Iron Mountain in terms of time for service, unfulfilled requests, resource requirements. The major findings of the modeling and simulation analysis indicate that this iron network structure is possible, but requires some specific enablers. Yeah, because our whole government structure is a bunch of codependents. Let's see, asset and supply level visibility across the network are critical for success, as is responsive global logistic support. The best response time occur when vehicle utilization remains below 40%. Given enough vehicles and an accurate picture of the network's resources, this iron network proves to be 79% faster than Iron Mountain while using 22% less vehicles and associated fuel, leaving 94% fewer requests unfulfilled. And the subject terms is Logistics Network Distributed Marine Corps Discrete Event Simulation Modeling Ruby Object-Oriented Programming, Design of Experiments, we're in that right now, Iron Mountain, Iron Network, Data Farming. Data farming, that's what that Landset's about, I think. Survivability, good luck to y'all. Resiliency, efficiency, responsive maintenance, vehicles, supplies, and enemy. That would be probably us. It's 77 pages long, and I'll leave you this whole link. But June of 2019. So Gregory E. Lynch, Master of Science in Operations Research. And it's approved by these people, Susan Sanchez, Mark Raffetto, and Matthew Carlisle. Chair, Department of Operations Research. So in this, they're also talking about computer simulation, and they say in a distributed network, it is essential to have full asset visibility because inventory levels and the location of a logistics node determine which entity provides the desired supplies. This cannot be effectively accomplished without total awareness of the location of resources. So maybe that's why they have to map everything out in that Landsat. And the states lower down, is an electronic system that can take, receive, and transmit the constant changes in inventory levels at each logistic node is essential to running a distributed network. So I'm running out of time here, but it says in a distributed network, it's essential to have full asset visibility because of inventory levels and the location of logistics for supply. So they're basically mapping us. So as we're being mapped, just a couple more things here. The term Iron Mountain is used frequently when referring to large-scale military operations. It refers to a location where bulk quantities of resources are stockpiled in preparation for a military operation. So they're preparing for a military operation. The Iron Mountain is incredibly useful because it provides a wide range of supplies to equip a military organization for the widest range of possible operations. However, it tends to be large and immobile, which makes it a tremendously enticing target for an adversary. The resources contained in the stockpile are critical to survival of a military force and directly contribute to the successful accomplishment of their mission. I skipped down a sentence. It says, during the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, the insurgent forces did not possess the capability to conduct an attack on Iron Mountain as the United States transitioned to preparations for a near-peer adversary. And this talks about the near-peer. It says, adjective used to describe communication or activity between people or organizations that are very similar or nearly equal. Near-peer teaching, NPT, is a highly valuable resource for education of medical undergraduates. This is what are near-peer weapons. Near-peer weapons is a term used by the U.S. Department of Defense, that's DoD, to describe advanced new weapon technologies described by near-peer nations that are potential adversaries in their attempts to overcome the dominant position in weapon technologies. Can you say under the skin, as in Yuval Harari mentioned, the under the skin weapon technologies long held by the United States. Here's a little graphic here, Force MAG TF. So Marine Corps Reserve Component, go into Geographic Combat Commander, Marine Corps Service Component, Marine Air to Ground Force, which we're seeing a lot of Air Forces flying overhead. I showed in the beginning of this video. Marine Air to Ground Task Force, win our nation's battles, major theater war, respond to crisis. Again, here's that Hegelian dialectic thing going on. Here, I want to show you one more thing. So they're moving from the Iron Mountain to the Iron Network. When I look at the anagram for Twin Towers, it's our worst winter. And if I look at Iron Mountain anagram, these are just things I see. I'm sure there's many other possibilities, but ion to ruin man, and I'll show you something about that later. And Iron Network is chrono winter. They have a thing about winters. But Iron Mountain, ion to ruin man. And here's something I just found. It's a 2017 to 2021 state.gov remarks at Global Chief Technology Officers Roundtable on 5G ION. And Mung Chiang, or how do you say it? Chiang, Science and Technology Advisor to the Secretary, Office of the Science and Technology Advisor. So here's someone who was born in China. And look at the date. It's not that old. And Mung Chiang, here he is, right here, with the United States flag behind him. He is on an IPA detail at the U.S. Department of State from Purdue University, where he is the John A. Edwardson Dean of College of Engineering and the Roscoe H. George Distinguished Professor of Electrical and Computer Engineering. So interesting how December 16th, 2019 to present is when he was made the Science and Technology Advisor to the Secretary Office of the Science and Technology Advisor. This is estate.gov. He's in the biographies of that. December 16th, 2019. That just seems really close in dates to the whole Wuhan thing. Made up or not, there's still the dates that they're posting. So I just find that interesting. So Mr. Chiang wrote the book, his textbook called Networked Life, popular science book, The Power of Networks, and online courses have reached hundreds of thousands. Yep, U.S. Department of State. So, roundtable on 5G ION. And he thanks Attorney General Barr for his remark highlighting the gravity and urgency of winning the 5G race. They're still into the 5G. So Attorney William Barr here, appointed by both George Bush and Donald Trump. And he gives, I'm talking Mung Chiang, gives a warm welcome to CTOs of Dell, Ericsson, Google, Microsoft, Nokia, Samsung, and colleagues from State, Justice, and FCC. So thank you all for joining to the special global CTO roundtable on 5G ION, a new practical kind of open that can start today. Open. That's O-PIN. He says a basic notion in engineering complex system is modularization. The tricky step in such divide and conquer. So modularity is, broadly speaking, modularity is the degree to which a system's components may be separated and recombined. So separated and combined, often with the benefit of flexibility and variety in use. The concept of modularity is used primarily to reduce the complexity by breaking a system into varying degrees of interdependence across and hide the complexity of each part behind an abstraction and interface. And remember when they broke apart the United States into sections? I think that was Brock's doing, and that there's 10 pieces here. There's more than 10 pieces, but there's 10 numbered sections of the United States. They broke it up. Guess what? 10 is AI and also CDC, just for your whatever interest. So again, he states, a basic notion in engineering complex systems is modularization. The tricky step in such divide and conquer is interface definition, which module carries out what functions and how to put them back together. Kind of like Humpty Dumpty, remember that? Din slows, Humpty Dumpty. Remember that? He fell apart and all the king's horses, all the king's men put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Wow, look at that feminine leg. Great. So the anagram for Humpty Dumpty is duty, pump, myth. That's right. Keep pumping the myth so we can divide and conquer. So the tricky step in such divide and conquer is interface definition, which module carries out what functions and how to put them back together. Such decomposition gives rise to the layered protocol stack in networks, where each layer is a functional module as well as a hardware, firmware, software separation. And this Dinslow guy, Humpty Dumpty, has appeared or been referred to in many works of literature and popular culture, particularly English author Lewis Carroll's 1871 book, Through the Looking Glass. Sorry, I was just interrupted with a phone call. So through the looking glass, which was described as an egg. And so you've got the Alice in Wonderland looking glass thing, all these connections. And he also was involved with the Wizard of Oz. And interesting, Dinslow, he died pretty early too. I think, 58 years old? But he goes on to say, with a broad inclusive tint of what open means, a nuanced appreciation of network deployment reality, network, and a more solid view on architectural choices, ION, becomes one of the areas where the United States and partner countries can lead in 5G innovation. We invite technology leaders in the industry to help make that happen. Speed is the key to winning the 5G race. So you've got Iron Mountain, Ion to Ruin Man, Iron Network, Chrono Winter. Remember Twin Towers? Our worst winter. Got the cold theme going on, winter. He says 5G ION refers to a broad collection of related yet distinct efforts in open architectures for carrier-grade cellular networks among the special cases and subtle variants. Some are in hardware, some in software. Some require virtualization, some do not. ION puts particular emphasis on several key features. I wonder if those are under skin applications. But anyhow, it's I before O. Unlike the PC industry, telco operators require integrated solutions and integrator suppliers. So anyhow, I'll leave this to you, but yep, they're moving in, guys, and they're looking forward to 6G, like we're even going to survive 5G. So his last paragraph, why technology should not be mistaken as a solution to the fundamental problems of a distorted market. Its exploration is still useful. ION and edge computing, for example, are two areas of innovation to realize 5G's promise of a new level of responsiveness and scale. Like what? Of genocide? Who knows? Such innovation leadership along with Clean Networks Initiative and supply chain security from 3 prongs on a global strategy for 5G. So they're still hell-bent on 5G, even though it's going to kill everybody. And there's all their tags. Under Secretary for Economic Growth, Energy and Environment, as they take away all your property and find new reasons to escalate fear. I'll leave this for you as well, this link. So here are those same skies that I showed about an hour ago, and look how they're completely, yep, that's normal, moved into more solar dimming as they continue their global agenda climate change narrative. All right, guys, that's enough for today. I'll leave you all the links for things I discussed. Take care.